think about how you look, you think about whether you sound credible, whether it's good enough to post, and then you don't post. So today I'm breaking down why that impulse to perform is exactly what's keeping you stuck and then the method I use to fix it. Hi, I'm Kerry Barrett. I'm an Emmy award-winning journalist, a former television news anchor at WNBC in New York, and now I coach high-performing professionals, especially attorneys, on how to show up on camera with actual authority. Now, today we're talking about the framework behind my coaching work. This framework is the thing I call the command the camera method. There's something that I've noticed, and that is that most professionals entirely misdiagnose their problem on camera. They think it's a confidence issue or a charisma issue or that they don't know what to say. And none of those are the actual problem. So I want to take a sec to talk about what the real problem is and how to fix it. When somebody tells me that they struggle on camera, they almost always frame it as a confidence issue. I'm not confident enough. It is a personality issue. I am not naturally charismatic. Or they say it's a content issue, meaning I don't know what to say. And I completely understand why they land there because they feel like real explanations. After working with attorneys and executives for years, there is one thing that I have seen over and over and over again, and that is that the actual problem is exposure. They haven't spent enough time in front of the lens for their nervous system to stop treating it like a threat. Your brain reads visibility as a risk. It always has. So when you hit record and suddenly you're staring into a lens, your nervous system activates. And that's why you freeze or you rush through your words or you sound robotic and you sound stiff. It's a threat response. These are brilliant professionals. They are attorneys who argue motions in court. They are founders who pitch investors. They're not incompetent speakers, but their nervous system is responding to an unfamiliar environment. So the stiffness, that you might feel on camera is not a skills gap. Initially, it's physiological and psychological. The skills matter, yes, we'll get to those. But if somebody's nervous system is in alarm mode, there are no amount of tips about hand placement or vocal tone that are going to land. You've got to address that threat response first, which means the real question to ask yourself when you're struggling on camera is, how do I reduce threat? And then everything flows from there. That leads us into the method. There are 4 levels. They have got to happen in order. If you skip a level, you will stall. So if you follow the order, your authority is a sure thing. Those 4 levels are psychological safety, exposure, repetition, skills and delivery, and visible authority. So we're going to take them one at a time. The first level is that psychological safety. If somebody doesn't feel safe, they cannot improve, period. So safety means removing the pressure to be perfect, and it means normalizing all that awkwardness. It means simplifying the entire process, stripping away the gear obsession, the script obsession, the lighting obsession. Now, if somebody tells me I need better lighting before I start, or I need a better microphone, or I need to write a better script, what I can see that they're actually doing is outsourcing that sense of safety to equipment. They're saying basically, if I can just control the environment enough, then I'm going to feel okay. Safety, however, is internal. So there's no ring light that's going to make your nervous system calm down, right? What do I tell somebody who's in that headspace? Because they genuinely believe they need to get the setup right first. I give them a language shift. Before they record, I have them say out loud, this is a repetition. It is a rep, and that is all. And that one sentence changes the stakes because you're no longer producing a performance, you're doing a rep, just like going to the gym. Now, there's another tactical thing as well. I tell them to limit themselves to 2 takes max. Maybe 3 if they have a huge error, but usually 2, because unlimited takes fuels perfectionism. You do 1, it's not perfect. You do 2, it's still not right. Take 7, you are spiraling. Take 15, you now have spent an hour on a 60-second video and you hate all of them. So 2 takes forces you to accept imperfection, which is where the safety actually starts to build. Now, this maps to the early weeks of the program. It's week 1 and week 2. And emotionally, what happens in those first 2 weeks is relief. So people come in bracing for something really grueling, and instead they say, oh, I was overcomplicating this. The gear doesn't matter as much as I thought. The script doesn't need to be memorized. I don't need to be perfect. And that realization alone drops the threat level significantly. So the job in week 1 and 2 is repetition without judgment, and that is all. Next is level 2, and this is exposure, right? This is where the comfort gets built. And I want to be really clear about the mechanism. Comfort comes from the exposure. It comes from doing the thing over and over again. If you record once every, let's say, 3 weeks, your nervous system treats each session like a very rare high stakes event, and rare events feel risky. But when you record frequently, even if they're short, imperfect videos, your body starts looking at it as its routine, and routine feels safe. So I tell clients to record about 3 short videos a week. You do not have to post all 3 of them. The posting comes, you don't even have to post one. That comes later. The point right now is just the reps. You are getting in front of the lens. You are saying something. You are stopping. You are doing it again tomorrow. Now, here's the mindset piece that trips people up. They think they need to feel confident before they can post, and that is actually backwards. You need to post in order to feel confident. Confidence is a byproduct of this repeated exposure. It is downstream, it is not upstream. Now, emotionally, what's happening around weeks 3 and 4, because the initial relief does wear off, weeks 3 and 4 are the frustration phase. This is what happens when they become hyper aware. They start noticing everything. They notice their hands, they notice their voice, the pacing, the stiffness in their shoulders, and they interpret that awareness as regression. They assume they're getting worse. They're not getting worse. That awareness is just increasing before their fluidity catches up. And that is a critical distinction. It's kind of like if you play golf and you've learned how to swing a golf club, there's a phase in that learning curve where you are conscious of every single micro movement, and it feels absolutely terrible. That is adaptation happening. It's not failure. So there's something I tell somebody who's in that phrase and wants to quit, which happens. I tell them, don't delete the takes that you don't like. Watch them once, clinically, from a distance, not emotionally, and ask yourself one question. What is the mechanical adjustment that I can make? Just one, not 10. And that keeps the focus on incremental improvement and prevents that sort of self-criticism spiral. Right. Level 3 is your skill and delivery mechanics, right? The actual skills of doing this and the mechanics of it. Eye line, posture, vocal tone. When does that stuff start to matter? It is once safety and repetition are in place. So if you try and teach someone mechanics before the body feels stable, all of that instruction, it doesn't land. You can't absorb stuff like that when your nervous system is still activated. But once you've built a little bit of baseline comfort through repetition, now you can refine. And I'm going to give you a couple of things. So eye line, this is a huge one. Look at the lens as if there is one person you genuinely respect and like that's standing right behind it. One person. Your brain can regulate to one person. It panics at the idea of everyone watching. So that simple reframe, one trusted person, changes the way that your eyes engage with the camera. You soften. You become more conversational. The next element is vocal calibration. So pace. You drop your pace by about 10% from where you think it should be, and add some brief intentional pauses after key statements. A lot of people rush through their strongest points because silence feels uncomfortable. That pause is actually the message that lands for your viewer. Finally, posture. Before you hit record, roll your shoulders back and down, lift your chest, take one full inhale and one longer exhale, because the exhale shows safety to your system. It's a physiological reset. Mechanics only work when the body feels stable and the breath creates stability. Those are very specific and very intentional. just be yourself or relax, that sort of help is useless. The nervous system doesn't respond to platitudes. It needs concrete inputs. Finally, 4 is your visible authority. This is the destination. And here's where I want people to understand about authority on camera. You don't perform it, it emerges. And it emerges when your nervous system is calm and when your delivery is natural and when your repetition has been consistent. When all of those things are true, the person on camera reads authoritative automatically. So the mindset shift at this level is stop trying to look authoritative. Focus on feeling regulated. Regulation, as I mentioned, reads as authority. Viewer can't articulate why they trust you. They just do. And it's because your nervous system is settled and that settles theirs. That's the payoff of this entire method. It's a physiological adaptation that produces a psychological result in the viewer. Now, I want to go back to the emotional timeline for a second because there's a phase I haven't really talked about that I do think is important. And this is weeks 5 and 6. And this is what I call the vulnerability spike. And it's the make or break point of this entire program. It is when public posting happens and increases. So the clients built safety, they've done the reps, they've started refining the mechanics, and now they actually have to put something out into the world. Then the vulnerability hangover hits. You post something real, and then immediately, sometimes it's seconds later, you are flooded with regret and maybe shame. No, why did I say that? That sounded weird. People are going to judge this. You want to delete it. You want to disappear. And it is a visceral, like physical sensation of overexposure. And this happens to high performance people. Don't feel bad if it happens to you. It happens especially to high performance people because they're used to operating in controlled environments. They know everything and they prepare extensively. They control the narrative. Like a courtroom has rules of evidence. A video posted to LinkedIn has no rules. Anybody can comment. Anybody can screenshot. Your peers can see it. And for attorneys in particular, peer judgment is terrifying, more so than client rejection. The idea of being mocked by other lawyers, being called cringe, that stuff keeps them up at night. So what's the move when somebody is in that hangover? There are 3 things. Now, first, I predict it before it happens. I tell them in advance, after you post your first real video, you are going to want to delete it and you are going to feel exposed. That feeling is coming and it is normal. So when it arrives, they have been warmed and it doesn't have the same power. Second, do not delete. That is the rule. You're going to have to feel the discomfort. You're going to have to sit with it. Do not delete the video. And then the third is to post again within about, say, 72 hours. Consistency neutralizes that feeling of vulnerability. The first post is terrifying. Second is uncomfortable. The third is just Tuesday. Right? And there's something that happens when they push through that. And it shocks everybody I work with. Nothing catastrophic happens. Nobody mocks them. Nobody files a bar complaint. Comment section doesn't explode. And then they realize, I did the scary thing and the world didn't end. And that is the actual breakthrough. The fear spike drops after that dramatically and not gradually, all at once. There's one more concept. It's an idea of hero to host. Now, a lot of professionals approach the camera in what I call hero mode. They're thinking, I need to prove I'm smart. I need to show everybody that I'm impressive. I need to show them that I know more than them. And that energy creates stiffness and it creates distance between you and the viewer because you're performing intelligence, right? Rather than communicating. Host mode is a little bit different. Host energy sounds like, let me clarify this for you, or let me walk you through it. Let me simplify something complicated. So when you shift into host mode from hero mode, your shoulders drop, your voice slows, your message sharpens because you're not trying to impress, you're trying to guide. So how do you make that shift practically? Before you hit record, ask yourself one question. Am I trying to impress Or am I trying to guide? Because guiding always wins. And the reason it wins is because modern audiences, especially the audiences that these professionals are trying to reach, are incredibly skeptical of polish and performance. They trust clarity and they trust someone who seems like they're talking to them, not at them. Now, this connects to something I call the paradox of polish. Overproduction actually increases distance. Slight imperfection increases trust. So if you stumble in a video, keep it. If your sentence structure isn't pristine, keep it. Your presence on camera matters more than your performance. And that is a really hard sell for a perfectionist executive or attorney. It's the hardest sell in the entire program. It is the most important one, though. So if you've been avoiding the camera for months, maybe for years, there's one question I'd want you to walk away asking yourself. And it's, how do I increase safe repetition? That is it. You stop asking, how do I look more confident? Or what should my content strategy be? You start with safe repetition. It's 2 takes. It's 3 short recordings this week. It's no pressure to post. It's just reps. The hierarchy is what takes care of the rest. Now, if you want help with this, if you're ready to actually build on-camera authority instead of just thinking about it, connect on LinkedIn or book a Command the Clarity call in the notes. Link is right in my headline and right next to this video. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.